Walter Brannon was an immensely popular character actor, particularly in the late 30s and 40s. He was awarded an impressive 3 Academy Awards for Best Supporting Actor for his roles in 1936's Come and Get It, 1938's Kentucky, and 1940's The Westerner. How is it possible for an actor to win 3 Academy Awards in 5 years and then end up being all but forgotten? Well, after you've garnered the reputation of being an outspoken racist who's vehemently opposed to civil rights and thinks everyone who doesn't see eye to eye with you must be a god and country-hating communist, it's kind of hard to turn back. Join Facts First as we reveal why Walter Brannon was quite possibly one of the most evil men to ever find success in Hollywood. From wannabe pineapple farmer to Hollywood star. Brennan was born on July 25, 1894 in Lynn, Massachusetts, and grew up in the nearby town of Swampscott. Both his parents were Irish immigrants. His dad worked as an engineer and dabbled in inventing, while his mother was a homemaker. While he was studying at Rindge Technical School in Cambridge, Brennan took up an interest in acting. At age 15, he began performing in vaudeville productions. After the First World War broke out in 1914, Brennan enlisted in the army and served as a private in the 101st Field Artillery Regiment in France. While serving in Europe, Brennan was injured after being exposed to mustard gas. The injury affected his vocal cords and left him with his distinctly high-pitched, reedy voice. After the war ended, Brennan worked as a reporter for a newspaper in Boston. His intention was to eventually move to Guatemala and work as a pineapple farmer, but he only made it as far as LA. In the early 20s, he made a hefty chunk of change in real estate, but lost it all during the devastating real estate slump of 1925. Broke but not defeated, Brennan started working as an extra in Universal Studios films. While that job wasn't exactly the most illustrious, it led to him landing more substantial roles with the studio. From 1925 to 1935, Brennan appeared in dozens of films as an extra or stand-in. Eventually, he was given speaking parts, and in 1936, landed one of his career-defining roles when he was cast in Come and Get It. That role earned him his first Academy Award. After winning for his roles in Kentucky and The Westerner, he was later nominated for another Academy Award for his performance in 1941's Sergeant York. A few of his other noteworthy appearances were in films like To Have and Have Not, My Darling Clementine, Red River, and Rio Bravo. Before we tell you more about Walter Brannon, be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to Facts First if you haven't already. Allegations of racism. It's been reported that Brennan danced and shouted with glee when he learned that Martin Luther King Jr. had been assassinated. Throughout the 1960s, he became convinced the civil rights and anti-war movements were the work of nefarious communists overseas. To him, activists were just pawns with their strings being pulled by Marxists hell-bent on taking over the world. Interviews with him from around this time feature him speaking at great length about these conspiratorial views. In one interview, he told a reporter that the riots in Newark and Watts and protests in Birmingham were the result of African Americans who otherwise would have been perfectly content being stirred up and antagonized to take action by troublemaking bad actors with devious anti-American agendas. More troubling is the fact he once suggested that the Watts riot should have been dealt with by the barrel of a machine gun. The cast and crew who worked alongside him on the set of his final Western series, The Guns of Will Sonnet, said that Brennan not only celebrated when he found out Martin Luther King had died, but also when Senator Robert F. Kennedy was murdered in 1968. Brennan used his image to spread hate. Even though he was a New England-born Yankee through and through, Brennan projected an image of being a sort of kindly country boy to connect with his rural fans and spread his racist John Birch Society-inspired ideas. He was staunchly anti-civil rights, unabashedly biased and full of hatred, and he used his platform to facilitate the spread of these ideals. For someone who claimed to be a Christian, Brennan demonstrated a strikingly sparse amount of brotherly love. He hid his racist beliefs behind his kindly, man-of-the-people character that audiences adored. Evidently, Brennan was so far-right ideologically, he even held a deeply seated belief that John Wayne was a communist. In 1965, he recorded several tracks at a John Birch Society convention in which he talked in his Grandpa Amos voice, telling the attendees how the African Americans of the civil rights movement, led by Congressman Adam Clayton Powell, were being manipulated to push a communist takeover of the nation. While this sounds pretty nutty, Brennan was able to sell his hatred by tapping into the appeal of his well-known character. Brennan played Grandpa Amos McCoy on the TV series The Real McCoys, but the kindly hillbilly he portrayed on television was nothing like the man he actually was. Brennan was wildly paranoid. Brennan was what we would call today a prepper, but instead of anticipating some kind of natural disaster or religious apocalypse, he was convinced the Soviets were imminently going to invade the US in an attempt to destroy democracy and implement communism. He had a bunker built in his LA estate, which he outfitted with an assortment of firearms, food rations, and other survival supplies. As we said earlier, Brennan thought John Wayne was secretly a communist, but the Duke wasn't the only celebrity Brennan thought was out to destroy America. Brennan forbid his daughter from letting his grandchildren listen to the Beatles. He feared that if they did, they would be infected with the decadence of modernity and all of its sinister woes. In later years, he was known for grilling his co-workers about their voting history. If anyone admitted to voting for a candidate as radical as, say, a Democrat, he would go off on a long-winded tangent about America's impending doom. While not nearly as controversial as his racist beliefs, Brennan saw prayer being removed from public schools as being yet another sign of the times pointing to the downfall of the country. He attended the Project Prayer rally in 1964 and spoke in front of 2,500 attendees at the Shrine Auditorium in LA. The event, hosted by fellow actor Anthony Isley, intended to flood Congress with letters expressing support for mandatory school prayers. The Supreme Court had previously ruled in 1962 and 63 that the practice of mandating prayer in school was unconstitutional, as it conflicted with the Constitution's Establishment Clause of the First Amendment. Brennan's final years and death. Brennan spent his final years mostly in retirement, living at his ranch in Moore Park in Ventura County, California. His last screen appearance was in the Western film Smoke in the Wind, which hit theaters in 1975. He died of emphysema September 21, 1974, at age 80. He was laid to rest at San Fernando Mission Cemetery in LA. Despite his many negative qualities, backward views, and blatant bigotry, film historians and critics often consider him as being one of the best character actors in film history. He appeared in more than 230 films in a career that spanned almost 5 decades. He was given a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and in 1970, he was inducted into the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum's Western Performers Hall of Fame. Now it's time to hear from you. Do you think Walter Brannon was as evil as people say he was? Let us know in the comments section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to Facts First if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.